I never imagined my birthday would turn out like this. From the very start, something felt off. Carl celebrating my birthday a day early, like he was trying to get it over with as quickly as possible, acting overly affectionate, way more than usual. These were all little signs that something wasn't right, but I didn't want to see them. When a woman wants to feel loved, she tends to overlook even the most obvious things. The night before, we had dinner at a nice restaurant with our friends. Everyone celebrated my 46th birthday. Carl had his arm around my waist, whispering sweet nothings in my ear, words that had long since lost their meaning, telling me how much he loved me, how important I was to him. But deep down, I felt nothing. That celebration wasn't for me. It felt more like Carl was fulfilling an obligation, doing what was expected of him. And then when my actual birthday arrived, the house was empty. Carl had left early in the morning. I have something important to take care of. Maybe I'll stop by in the afternoon. He had said he didn't even look guilty when he left. He just left. But what really hurt was why he did it, not because he didn't love me. I had already known that for a long time. Because he was cheating on me. I couldn't prove it, but the feeling inside me had long since turned into something more than just suspicion. My stepson Elias was about to make a move that would change everything. He was nothing like his father. In fact, he was stronger, smarter, and more aware than Carl could ever be. Elias, Carl's 23-year-old son from his previous marriage. From the moment I met him, he had been a man I struggled to define my boundaries with, because every time our eyes met, I felt something I couldn't quite explain. I knew it was wrong, but feelings don't operate on right or wrong. I had no idea what was coming. I couldn't have imagined Elias would give me a gift so unexpected. A gift that would show me the truth and change my life forever. But at that moment, I had no clue. That afternoon, my phone buzzed a message from Elias. "We're waiting for you at this address. Dad and I planned something special for your birthday." I hesitated for a moment after reading it. Carl planning a surprise evening for me? I couldn't believe it. Elias was about to take things to a whole new level. But before we get into that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, so you'll be the first to hear these stories. And if you like this one, leave a comment and hit the like button. It really helps me keep bringing you more. After last night's cold, lifeless celebration, it was hard to believe Carl actually cared about my birthday, especially since he had left that morning with a flimsy excuse, saying I have a lot to do today and leaving me alone. I felt a wave of guilt for doubting him so much. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe he really was trying to make things right. Maybe Carl and Elias had planned something meaningful for me. I had a strange sense of unease, but at the same time curiosity and excitement. I walked into the bathroom and stared at myself in the mirror. I needed to pull myself together. I styled my hair carefully, applied light but elegant makeup, even though I knew Carl was indifferent. Deep down, there was still a part of me that hoped that I'd finally receive the attention I had longed for, but never gotten. I got dressed ready and headed to the address in the message. The moment I knocked on the door, it swung open quickly. Elias was standing there as I looked at him. My eyes instinctively searched for Carl for a second, but Elias locked eyes with me and smiled. "Happy birthday, Abby." That was all he said. Then he stepped back and gestured for me to come in. The moment I stepped inside, the scene in front of me took my breath away. The living room was set up perfectly, a table carefully prepared just for me, romantic but not overdone decorations, every detail thought through, dim lighting, soft music, and most importantly, a small gift box sitting right in the center of the table. I held my breath for a moment. This was so much more than I had expected. Elias watched my stunned expression before slowly stepping closer. "For you," he said, picking up the small box from the table and handing it to me. My fingers trembled as I opened it. My eyes instantly welled up. Inside was the necklace I had wanted for years, but Carl had never cared about. The one I had mentioned countless times, only for him to brush it off. Elias had gotten it for me. When I looked up at him, the way he gazed at me cut through me like a blade. "You got this for me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. Elias gave a small nod and looked straight into my eyes. As he reached out and clasped the necklace around my neck, when his fingers brushed against my skin, I felt a small jolt inside me. But I didn't want to think about it. I couldn't think about it. As my fingers lightly traced over the necklace, a strange warmth spread through me. I didn't even know what to say. I just looked at him for a few seconds. Neither of us spoke a word. Finally, I took a deep breath and pulled myself together. "Where's Carl?" Elias didn't look away as he took a small step back, that slight but deeply meaningful smile still on his lips. "He's not here and he's not coming." I furrowed my brows slightly. "But in your message, you said you were waiting with him." Elias paused for a moment, then tilted his head slightly, his gaze growing even more intense. "Would you have come if I hadn't said that Abby—" For a few seconds, I could hear nothing but the sound of my own heartbeat. He was right if Carl hadn't been mentioned. Would I have come if I hadn't? I wouldn't be wearing the necklace I had wanted for so long right now, and I wouldn't have known about the real gift Elias was keeping from me. The one that would change everything. Elias hadn't even played his trump card yet. Elias grabbed the bottle of wine from the table, smoothly uncorking it before carefully pouring into 2 glasses. "Your favorite," he said, handing me one of the glasses. "I know, because I saw how you smiled when you drank it with your friends, a year ago." I narrowed my eyes as I held the glass in my hand. "How long have you been paying attention to what I drink, Elias?" He smiled. "I just know what you like." Something inside me trembled for a second. The way he looked at me, the way he spoke, every little move he made. They were carving their place in my mind without me even realizing it. The moment I took my first sip, I noticed how perfectly the wine matched my taste. I couldn't help but smile. Elias took a slow sip from his own glass, his eyes never leaving me. "You know, Abby," he said softly, "talking to you has always been easy." I raised my eyebrows slightly. "Oh yeah," he nodded. "Sometimes I wonder how someone like you stayed with a man like my father for so long." Something inside me cracked at that moment. I slowly set my glass down on the table. Sometimes I wonder the same thing. A heavy silence settled over the room. Elias leaned back into the couch. More relaxed now, but his eyes were still on me. "Hearing you say that is surprising, but at the same time it's really not." I looked away. I didn't want to say out loud everything running through my mind. But with Elias, words just seemed to slip out effortlessly. "Talking to you really is easy," I said with a small smile. "Sometimes I'm shocked at how well we understand each other." Elias tilted his head, his gaze warm but sharp, as if he had known this all along. "Doesn't surprise me." I took another sip of my wine, feeling the relaxation of the alcohol mix with something else. Something deeper, something I couldn't quite define. But the strangest thing was how comfortable this closeness with Elias made me feel tonight. Without Carl, it felt so much more right. Elias's eyes were locked onto mine, the space between us getting smaller. My hands rested on my knees, my breathing uneven. It felt like the entire world had come to a stop. What was supposed to happen was about to happen. But just as our lips were about to meet, Elias suddenly pulled away. "Abby," he said, his voice shifting into something more serious. "I have something I need to show you." I blinked my mind, scrambling to make sense of his words right now. Trying to predict what went through Elias's mind had never been easy. But this was something else. Stopping in a moment like this, to say something like that, it was weird. But there was something in his eyes, something firm, unshakable. He stood up and walked over to the TV in the corner of the living room, picking up a small USB drive. Then he plugged it in. I thought it was a movie. But within seconds, the images flashing across the screen made my blood run cold. Carl, with another woman in a car, kissing his young secretary. Then the two of them leaving a hotel together. Another clip, Carl dropping her off at her place after work. And more. So much more. It felt like someone had punched me in the stomach. A wave of anger, disappointment, and a painful truth I had known deep down, but refused to see washed over me all at once. I turned to Elias, my eyes burning. But I wasn't crying, only one word managed to leave my lips. Why Elias didn't look away. "'Cause you already knew, Abby," he said, his voice calm, but absolute. "I knew you always felt it. But until you fully let go of Carl, until you made your decision." I didn't want to say anything. He reached out his hand toward me. "You needed to cut ties completely," he continued. "I'm sorry for doing this, but that man never deserved you. He's a terrible person, Abby." I looked back at the screen one last time, but I didn't need to see it anymore because Elias was right. I didn't say a word, I just took his hand. In that moment, it felt like everything around us had frozen. My mind was spinning, my heart pounding. But my eyes were still glued to the images on the screen. Seeing Carl's lies, his betrayal, laid out in front of me like this, it shattered something deep inside me. But the strangest thing of all, a part of me felt relieved. Because now I knew I didn't have to believe Carl's lies anymore. I didn't have to keep fooling myself. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. I wanted to think, but my thoughts had already slipped away from me, drifting entirely toward Elias. Elias. From the very beginning, he had been the one who felt the most right. When I felt his eyes on me, I slowly turned to him. From the very beginning, I started, my voice trembling slightly, but I pulled myself together. From the very beginning, I felt so close to you, Elias. Elias held his breath for a second, his eyes locking onto mine, with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. Then he gave a small nod, that deep, reassuring look never leaving his face. "I know, Abby," he said in a low, steady voice. "I've always felt it too.